Hey guys, Dave here from Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with the crew.
I'm Ted. I'm Nate.
And today we're letting the genie out of the bottle. We're going to be doing Dungeons and Dragons Monsters, Genies. We've had several requests for this one.
So this starts on your Monster Manual, page 141, and there's quite a bit of lore and cool stuff here.
Well, yeah, because Genies really is four monsters in one, and they range from really evil to just not nice. Like, what are the alignment ranges on our genies?
You get the Tao is neutral evil. The genie is, or the Jinn, however you want to pronounce that one, is chaotic good. The Ifrit is lawful evil, and Marriott is chaotic neutral.
And really, even the good genie really isn't good in my opinion. I mean,
if you're considered an ant compared to that, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, they still keep slaves. They treat them better than other people, but in my mind, slavery in itself is just black. So, so I don't know how you can be good and still keep slaves.
That's a whole nother argument. So let's put that one off to the side and move back to this fantasy world.
Right. Well, so that brings us back to genies range from really evil to not nice.
Right. And they're all a challenge 11. They're all 7,200 XP. And they're all listed with a myriad of powers that just smite your ass.
Yeah, and so we did a little. We crunched some numbers. We figured some stuff out before we started rolling the camera on this video. And what we determined is one genie is a feasible challenge for a 7th to 8th level party of 4.
And it's in for a party of 4, it's in the 7th to 8th level. It's at that deadly encounter. If it's 7th level, it is absolutely
a deadly encounter.
If it's 8th level, it's somewhere between hard.
Right. Well, even if you go with the CR system of 4 to 5 adventurers.
Okay.
So if it's 5 adventurers, 7th level, you're probably good.
8th level, you're fine.
You're absolutely fine with the 4 to 5. So so that being said, so the reason why I bring that up is that means genies all by themselves are just badasses.
Mm-hmm.
They all get really good, really cool spell-like abilities. They're physically powerful and imposing.
So the weakest of them is 21 strength.
Yeah. Well, and I mean just sheer damage output.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they all have different kind of regions that they like to hang out in the prime material plane. And genies are super rare because it takes like this major elemental celestial event for them to even come into existence. Right. And you can't, other genies can't create more genies.
That's correct.
And that's why we get genasi or genasi or
however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, however you want to pronounce it is because when these guys get the itch and they go visit the mortal prime material plane, things happen. Boom, genasi.
I've always said genocide.
So, but now using these guys in a campaign as your bad guy, as your monster, your villain, if you will. There's something that could actually appear in your game like right from the beginning because you could actually build up to them over time.
Right.
Yeah, they're definitely have an interesting and nice theme to them. They all have that kind of like Arabian feel.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the origin of the mythos for what these guys are based off of, right? Is that region, so kind of makes sense up there.
I mean, you could have tribes or bandits that follow or worship these guys. So that means that they can come into play fairly early, or even a cult. You can definitely allude to it. I mean, and when you finally get to the genie themselves, they could be a small part of something even bigger, right? What if there's warlocks and they're actually tied to the elemental princes?
Yeah, that's a good point. That could absolutely be a power that a warlock.
So like what would happen is like the way I envision it is, maybe there's this cult going on that the players keep encountering, and they have warlocks, and these warlocks are using abilities that are a little bit different, a little bit elemental flavored, until they finally get to the big bad and they realize it's it's an Afridi that's really causing all the problems. Only to put him down and realize, oh, wait a minute, he's really just a messenger boy.
Yeah. He's the guy that's got material plane duty this year.
Yeah. So, and that being said, here's one of the things about genies: they will trade their services. They will take on lesser roles if they see the gain of a bigger picture. Because really, like a genie, what they really want to do is they want to be able to tell all their other genie buddies that I'm better than you. These guys are they're all real old waspy Republicans.
They're all about one-upsmanship.
Yes.
It's ridiculous the way that they have to see. Well, I just have to be a little bit better than you, and I'm performing better, and everything's good.
Well, right, but you can as a DM, you can use that to your advantage.
Oh, absolutely.
As part of the reason why they do what they do.
Yeah.
Why they might be serving someone else and how they fit into a larger picture. It is kind of funny. They all keep slaves, and most of them actually treat their slaves really well because they don't want to damage the property.
Yeah.
That's a status of wealth among them, is how many slaves that they have. And they want their slaves to worship them.
So kind of like well-groomed slaves that are very obedient and worshipful. Oh yeah.
That's good stuff. Unless you're the free, which they're the I guess the worst of their slaves.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're lawful evil, so they're still bound.
Yeah, but when you read the description, it really does say that they're the ones that are kind of willing to be brutal up to the point where the slave is not of any use anymore.
There is that.
Yeah, well, because really, a useless slave isn't going to help their status at all, right? So even their motives are selfish.
Yeah.
And then you have the Dao, the Earth one, Dao, the Earth genie, who uses them as basically miners and sends them to dangerous places all the time. So if you got to be a genie slave, if you got to be a genie slave, you want to be a genie slave to Jin. That's where it's at.
Yeah. It's like, oh, so you want me to just bring you food? Yeah, I can do that.
And rub your feet, not toilet in dangerous caverns or live on a plane of fire. I gotta massage that bunion, no problem.
The only thing I have to worry about is falling to my death from your magical cloud in the sky. Okay,
it's so much better.
So using these guys in a long-standing game, as you said, you can definitely have the moving from the beginning. But I would take it a little bit further and
before the beginning.
No, as opposed to totally just giving base descriptions, so if you're using it in a 3D, have them possibly think it's an over magi. I mean, that's kind of how he looks,
or a fire giant.
A fire giant. You have some of the other guys. They could be just they've got a large reduce, so it's they could be bigger, trying to be more imposing. So definitely leaning towards the giant. Or if they actually strengthen themselves down to medium size, you'd be thinking it's just a powerful spellcaster that's got that's lording over all these people. So you've got.
I actually like that idea, the reduce, and then all of a sudden, during the encounter, they grow to not genie size but giant size. And you could totally do the scene from Aladdin at the end.
So I mean, it's just something that if you want to use these guys, you don't want to let it all too soon.
Keep thinking. I'm just replaying.
Infinite power. Yeah.
Replaying. I'm just a regular spellcaster. I'm actually a genie. No, I'm actually a fire giant.
I'm going to crush your skull.
So you've got all kinds of ways that you can be using them without giving it away too soon. So it's like, okay, all right, well, we got to contend with a powerful spellcaster. We're gonna have to worry about this. We're gonna have to worry about that. And then as they learn more clues, it's like, oh crap, we got to deal with genie. Can't they just change reality?
For instance, using that encounter, they might think they're in the big boss fight. And the evil wizard walks away, and they're like, "Oh, he drove him away." But in reality, the genie left in his arrogance, thinking that, "Oh, well, this will be handled, and these are beneath me to even bother, just because of the way they are."
That's awesome.
And then he gets even angrier at the party because,
wait a second, how could you defeat my minions?
How dare you?
You survived,
Monologuing.
Don't you know who I am?
yeah, you survived the first encounter because I left due to my indifference.
Really have to monologue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely need a monologuing movement. But that aside, right? Genies are very adversarial against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you could totally do like a genie gang war,
Mm.
where the players kind of get caught up in the middle, where where they're maneuvering, especially their free and the gin, because they inhabit the same areas, or it could even be two genies that are of the same stock.
Well, I mean, the elemental differences, that's where they really butt heads. Like the Jinn really can't stand the Dow. Ifrits really aren't fond of it.
Yeah, well, but the reason why I use the Jinn and the Ifrit as an example is because they're the most two common that actually come in conflict.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But, and not because of the elements, but because of proximity of where they like to dwell. Like they both like to hang out in the desert.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're more likely to. So say there's a magical oasis, or say there's a certain town or village or something that for whatever reason they hold significance to. So now they're fighting over it through proxies. And the players are like, I don't know, I just wanted to stop here and get a water skin.
And maybe the Ifrit has a little cult following, made a temple, and the Jinn's like, hey, you're blocking my beautiful view.
Yeah.
With your ugly tower you're building, I'm gonna go get some adventurers to beat you down.
It could totally be something that petty, which would be awesome. And you can't tell them at the end they find out.
Oh yeah.
Like the end they defeat the Ifrit, and the Jinn is like, excellent. Now tear down that temple. It is blocking the view. The sun comes just so through the mountains over yonder. This will be beautiful.
I love this vast expanse of unbroken.
It's like that ridiculous agreement from like Trading Places.
Yes,
like,
$1.
We bet $1.
Yeah. So the adventures are like so. I thought you said he was evil and bad. Yeah, that stuff too, but the view. But doesn't he keep slaves? Yeah, but who doesn't?
Yeah. He's cruel to his, but
Yeah. As as the slaves are massaging his feet.
Yeah, it's like,
Gotta be some more grapes.
Excuse me. Give me some grapes.
So yeah, I mean, Genies. There's a lot going on. A lot of fun. And that's just a material thing, right? If you then actually go somewhere else, like their home world, then it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, but then now you're talking about if you're traveling to another elemental plane, you got to be significant higher power.
Do you?
Well, the roaming
Depends
fire
what you want to
elementals
do.
and stuff.
Well, you're not going to survive on the elemental plane of fire without
Well, it doesn't matter what level you are. If you don't have accommodations, you're not going to survive. You level 1, level 20. What's the difference when you're being incinerated?
I mean, there's certain spells you can have cast on you that'll help you get through that.
Well, my point is,
items
like,
you might have found.
What's to say you don't give them to a lower level party for an
true.
adventure?
That's true.
It could be a bunch of rings. Yeah.
Just for an adventure or whatever. You could do it. But what I'm saying is, like, just those, or it could even be a complete. It doesn't even have to be elemental planes. Why not the ethereal or the astral for whatever reason they have a bastion there that you encounter, which would make it even more interesting. What if there's an island that is basically like this desert oasis floating through the astral that happens to inhabit, and Freedy happens to be inhabited there, and maybe he's trapped there. Maybe it's like the uber good ones with the variants, and has even more power, and you don't even encounter them at first, and like just weird stuff. You could also almost like the haunted island thing. And then, something happens where they can't just leave right away, so now they have to figure out how to leave. They don't really know that everything's being manipulated by the Ifrit that's been trapped there, or the Jinn that's been trapped there, or whatever. Or, maybe a Myriad in the water, or any of them, depending on how long they've been trapped, could have even gone insane at this point.
An insane genie is not something I want to do.
And think about it, like if they're still a genie at their core, so one of the things that genies do is they collect wealth in the form of slaves and valuables. Well, you're stuck on an island. You can't freaking go get it.
He's going to collect you.
Yeah, he's not going to want you to leave. It's like, do you know how long it takes me to get a slave around there? This work isn't going to do itself.
It's not like gifts are showing up all over the place.
Yeah.
Now, interesting way that they could have been trapped there is, let's say, some kind of lesser god or something in the astral either called them or summoned them there, and then maybe something occurred where the god died, or something that basically it's like, well, I'm not allowing you to leave, but then either they leave for some reason, and the power that contains the genie is still there. So some kind of
they get trapped. Contract, a bargain. Like a good example is there's this TV show that my kids watch on Disney Channel. It's called Luck of the Irish, and it turns out that this kid is like descended from leprechauns, right? But there's also like the antagonist in it is like this evil leprechaun. Well, in the end, the idea is that they have this competition that's going to, either one will become a slave or the other one will be, bound, by this contract, by the bargain, right? Well, he tricks him, and he goes like, so what, big deal? You're going to stick me in Ireland for 100 years. It's not like I haven't moved that place before, and then, I'll go back to doing what I always do. I'll get out. And he's like, no. I said that the shores of my father, and my father, I guess he said Erie, and he just took it as the kid mispronounced it. He's like, no, my father's from Ohio. So he trapped him in Lake Erie. So there's things like that can happen. And hey, for you guys out there, you can draw inspiration from anywhere and steal it, no matter how cheesy it is.
And especially if you never tell anybody where you got it from.
Well, I got it from more fun when they figure it out. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of flavor. There's a lot of uses for genies. You can go in different directions. When the Gensei were reintroduced, one of the things I immediately thought about, what if there was a freaking crazy genie somewhere that goes, like, he got off on having offspring. These guys are immortal. So, and, to have a harem is nothing for them. It fits with the flavor. And he's like, he just like pumps out babies. Like I don't just buy slaves. I make them. And these ones are even better.
Those upgrades.
They're fire flavored or or earth flavored, whatever they do. I wouldn't go with the earth one on this one because you got all these pig pens running around. You can't see anything.
Yeah, everything's dirty everywhere.
Yeah. So maybe one of the other types. But that was one of my ideas. I'm like, I didn't really expand on it. I just kind of had to start there, but I'm like, where could that go? That could go a lot of places. Like, it could be a whole organization. It could be, this secluded settlement, or even like from Game of Thrones, Crafters place, but with genocide instead.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they have to be all daughters, but that whole idea of this closed community that's kind of like clannish or family-ish. But you're taking this one race that's supposed to be really rare, but there just happens to be like 100 of them hanging out in this one spot because this guy is immortal with nothing better to do.
That could even be incorporated into how we were saying that Ifrit and the Jinn were fighting, like, hey, I want to get my view clear. He could easily have been like, oh yeah, you can take something from my treasury as a reward or something, and then he walks by this like ridiculous like a hotel worth of apartments, and he's like, oh, this is where all my children live.
Yeah, absolutely. Or what if it's the good guy, the quote unquote good guy, that is saying take anything from my treasures, and he brings you to the harem of all these like female or male, depending on their orientation, or they may not even care, to be honest with you. Of all the Gensei, right? He goes, yeah, pick anyone you want, and you're like, wait a minute.
Those are
yeah,
they're mine.
Sorta.
I want to give one to you.
Oh man!
So you can really have a lot of fun with genies. There's a lot of role playing things you can do with genies. Right from the get go, you could have a genie be like the catalyst for your campaign in the sense, not as antagonist, but as like the a backer or a patron of the party. And then that's how they actually come together, and that's how they start adventuring. Is, oh yeah, I got some things for you guys to do. Maybe it is actually a genie who loves his slaves, and they're actually slaves. And that's how the adventure starts.
They all accrued some debt and banded up there.
Yeah,
That's not a bad idea.
And like if they do X amount of things, they can win their freedom from him. And basically a genie, anything, they're gonna want things that expands their wealth and their what's the word I'm looking for? Their influence and how they're perceived. So like, yeah, I'll trade for my slaves if they can, if each one can produce 4 times the investment, essentially.
So with 5e having like the magic of marriage, you could have them travel, and like the party will have to kind of make the call of, okay, well, you have to get all of you agree to give a rare item for your freedom, or keep adventuring with this guy. So it's like, if they've only got one rare worth of stuff, and they're like, but I don't want to part with this really cool sword, or so it could
it's like your freedom or your sword, basically.
So I think that could definitely have especially from a third edition player standpoint, where they're just constantly wanting to collect gear.
Right.
It definitely could add some interesting role playing dynamics and character dynamics, both at the table and in the game.
But it could even just be a series of quests, like you have to get the chalice of so and so, which is not even magical. It's just it could be art objects.
It just looks really nice.
It could be procuring a certain type of person to become one of his slaves.
I just like the dynamic of having the characters.
The
players actually have to make that choice, because like I know, like, especially from my long-standing playing of third edition, it's like I don't like to part with my stuff. So,
well, you're a slave. You don't actually have any stuff, so it doesn't matter.
And there's the dynamic of the player's choice, rather than, well, I just set this goal for you as the beginning. Like, here's a quest, or you get to choose what you're losing.
If you're working for a djinn who is allowing you these freedoms because you're off adventuring on your own, and you just have that set, well, you can be free if you give me, something that's really rare. The players can have to make that choice. It's like, well, you're allowed to keep whatever you want, but you're supposed to be bringing me back treasure, and you can get your freedom if you give me, this.
Yeah.
So, well, it's just an idea.
Yeah. Not only that, though, with that same idea, one of the things you might do is have like a rival genie be like spotting the players whenever they can, because they don't want this guy to get ahead. They don't want to get one up by him.
Oh, absolutely.
So they got to keep shutting you down.
You could wind up having to contend with a similar party of adventurers
that has the same deal.
And then you'd be in this weird situation where you'd be disliking the enemy of your master who's enslaved you.
Yeah,
Stockholm syndrome going on there.
There's definitely a lot of layers to play with something like that, and it would be a very specific kind of campaign, and you have that players that are on board and kind of built their characters around it, and each one. But that could be part of the fun too, like decide, well, why are you a slave to this guy? How did you lose your freedom?
Yeah.
And what is he holding over you that keeps it? Yeah, because it's not enough to just say, well, we're a slave and we're a slave. But there's got to actually be an in-game kind of mechanic or RP thing that has you beholden to him, where you go, oh man, I don't want to mess this up, because there's something at stake.
A sister or brother's freedom, or some other component.
Yeah,
or you just promised and you don't want to get hunted down like some kind of wild animal later by the djinn for backing down on your deal or something.
But like I said, to me, it seems like that would be part of the fun, is having each of the players come up with their thing, their whole thing. That can come up and be reoccurring.
So, what do you think? Wish fulfilled?
I think so. We can stop rubbing the lamp, put a cork in the bottle, tap the iron flask, whatever you want to do to whatever thing. With that, you guys can like, comment, subscribe, even share.
You can come support our Patreon account, so that we can keep bringing you better content, get some better gear.
You can also join the conversation over on Reddit.
So until next time, stay nerdy.